Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
The Suns are 2 games over 500 for the first time in a month, while Nick Richards has been exactly the upgrade the team needs at the center position. So, what is all this chaos that Yusuf Nurkic says is currently festering inside the locker room? Well, his name is Jimmy Butler, and he's at the center of a saga that could linger another 11 days until the NBA trade deadline passes. Now, there are people who believe a deal is already in place that would require the Suns trading Ryan Dunn as well, which they don't want to do and which they better not do under any circumstance. There's a reputable NBA insider in South Florida who claims everything changed in the Heat universe after Phoenix visited Miami for a game on December 7th, leading many Heat fans to believe there is tampering involved, which is ironic because Butler once called on the NBA to investigate the Milwaukee Bucks after they acquired Damian Lillard. Either way, Butler has become one of the great sports villains of the current landscape, right behind the Chiefs and NFL officials, where the Jimmy Eat World Tour, well, it's going down to the wire. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW. Make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm very much annoyed with Butler, and I mean, he's been a malcontent, and he's pushed his way out of multiple teams. He cried his way out of Minnesota, and then in Philadelphia, he went long stretches of not even shooting threes because he didn't like the way the offense was working around him, and now this is happening in Miami after 2 finals appearances, and I just don't know if this guy is going to be worth all this hassle for the Suns, especially given the state that they're in. I say all that, and yet it's like, well, what are they missing? A wing defender who can penetrate into the paint and get to the basket and draw fouls.
That's Kevin O'Connor on with Burns and Gambo Friday. He's from Yahoo Sports, the host of the Kevin O'Connor Show. Been covering basketball for a long time. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the gist of a couple of conversations that we had, including with Brendan Tobin, who joined us, a talk show host from Miami. Yeah. Is Jimmy Butler worth the hassle? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Yeah. And a lot of people are coming around to, wow, they're really looking at the history and the checkered teammate past, if you will, of Jimmy Butler and saying, no. There was a couple things that happened over the weekend that I thought were interesting. And one of them happened on Friday, if I got my timetable right in my head, was we were wondering, too, are the Suns just done with Bradley Beal completely? Mm-hmm. Like, is Beal being shopped for other options if it's not Jimmy Butler? Because there's so many hurdles in place, obviously. And the first kind of reporting came out that mentioned Zach LaVine. I like Zach LaVine just fine. Mm-hmm. That solves nothing.
It solves nothing. and I talked to a media friend of mine in Chicago, and he said the Bulls are not going to want Bradley Beal.
Yes.
So that came up as well. So where is this whole thing going? I wonder if, and Ethan Skolnick, by the way, is the Heat insider who wrote over the weekend. No, actually, he said it during a podcast. And basically what he said was everything. Here's what he said, quote, "The Heat thought after a very strong training camp that Jimmy was going to play the season out and play hard. Something happened after Phoenix visited them on December 7th. Something happened," end quote. So it's pretty clear what he's getting at, that while the Suns were there, conversations were had, promises were made, and Jimmy Butler's unhappiness with the Heat suddenly proliferated to the point where it is now. And so there's that in the hopper as well. Kellen Olson, after we got off our show on Friday, he was filling in for Wolf, I believe, and his take on this whole deal is that there might be a trade that other people have agreed on that includes the Suns giving up on Ryan Dunn, which they don't want to do. They want to get this done without that happening. What are your thoughts on that?
They are feeling correct, and they should not be wanting to deal Ryan Dunn. But let's go back 2 years when they gave up Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson for Kevin Durant. I know it's a different situation. Ryan Dunn is a very promising rookie. Those guys were more established, obviously more entrenched in the Phoenix culture, which kind of makes it. They shouldn't do it.
Yeah, they shouldn't do it. I'm with you.
Would it surprise me if they did it? Absolutely not.
If they buckled and said, "Okay, we want Jimmy Butler, we'll do it." Yeah, that's the story of the KD trade,
and
right?
that I mean, hypothetically speaking, because this is all hypothetical now, there's a large portion of the Suns fan base that doesn't want anything to do with Jimmy Butler at this point. There's a large portion of the Suns fan base. In fact, Mr. AZ Sports had video of a guy who said, apparently, I don't know if this is true, I'm just going by what he said on Twitter. Late in the game, while Bradley Beal was shooting free throws, somebody in the front row got up and started yelling Jimmy Butler's name and was escorted out of the arena.
And was thrown out of the arena.
You saw that too, right?
I did see that.
If for the faction of fans that's anti-Butler at this point, if that also includes getting rid of Ryan Dunn,
that would be bad.
There's going to be a lot of people just throwing their hands up.
Yeah, yes. So I would really highly advise the Suns not do that, because I think for Matt Ishbia and the new regime, they didn't understand the Valley's affection for Mikal Bridges because they didn't live it. They couldn't understand. How could you understand a relationship that intimate? You wouldn't. Right? You would just look at the player and you'd go, he and Cam Johnson for Kevin Durant? Of course we're going to do that trade. This is KD we're talking about.
This is KD.
Ain't that something? So, but for those of us who, the day he was, singing karaoke at the Vine and the lemonade stands and all that stuff that made those two dudes so special in terms of the Suns family, there's no way you would know that if you didn't live it. The Ryan Dunn thing, they need to be reminded that Ryan Dunn, in the way he's performed as a rookie, is tapping into that phenomenon for a lot of reasons. Homegrown talent, effort guy. Don't have to ask him to play hard.
Plus, there's also other examples in Suns history of players who fit that profile. Sean Marion and Mikal Bridges were young players that were very challenged offensively when they first got to the league and developed that. And you can see the development happening on that end of the floor with Ryan Dunn. So that would be very frustrating. I want to go back to last week, too. The TNT crew got into a kind of a debate on the Jimmy Butler front. And here was the first thought, and that is Jimmy Butler owing it to his teammates in Miami to show up and work.
Let me give you this example. Michael Jordan played for $2.3 million. I
understand.
Like, when he was there, and then said, I signed the contract, I'm going to play. Period.
That's what the
Now, I could ask for more. And
he never did.
But Jimmy could ask for more, but he still has an obligation to show up.
Michael Jordan ended up leaving.
He has the obligation to show up.
He retired. Business of basketball. He came back and played for Washington.
Yeah, he did.
But also the business of basketball, go all out.
Listen,
come on, go all out. You owe that. You owe that to your teammates. You owe that to the fans. You owe that to the franchise.
No.
You owe it to yourself.
No, you owe it to your teammates more than.
That's what I said.
You can get mad at the Miami Heat organization, but the fans of Miami and those guys in that locker room, they ain't got nothing to do with you wanting a contract extension.
And then Shaq dug in even more on siding with Butler for some reason.
Jimmy Butler makes $50 million a year.
Want more? So what?
He ain't getting more.
Okay, so guess what? You don't want me. I don't want to be here.
Okay, well then, but you can't just not show up to work.
Why not?
Because you took the other two. You took the 50 for this year and next year.
Okay.
So you're saying you took those two, but you not because you don't get two more.
Doesn't matter.
You could ask for a trade, but you gotta show up.
Nature. You don't want me. I don't want to be here.
You don't feel a responsibility when you are under contract for this season to play this
and next year.
I do. But I'm not going to go all out.
It was very, very odd. I saw that, and I wasn't certain. I didn't understand why Shaq was so entrenched in that opinion in defending Jimmy Butler, just refusing to critically analyze the situation.
And I don't know if he believed what he was saying, quite honestly. Especially there, you hear the kind of the stumbling to the finish line. But when Kenny Smith brings up the Michael Jordan situation, and that all happened. We know that happened. And Shaq, did he end up leaving? Yes, he did end up leaving. Did you see what he did in his last year with the Chicago Bulls? If you missed it, there's a 10-part documentary on it. The dude showed up and killed every night.
Every night. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that opinion, I couldn't believe Shaq was saying that. That no,
I don't have a responsibility to play hard for the fans.
Why would I do that? I mean, why they're telling me they don't like me because they won't give me a contract extension, even though I've got $50 million this year, $52 million next year. You still want more than that? It's asinine. It's an asinine opinion from my vantage point.
Guess what, Bick? We're gonna have a lot more on this story this week, I think.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.